Hey, 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 it's your girl Talia, and I'm ready for you to invade my space. Welcome to Talia's Space, y'all. Welcome to the Look Good, Feel Good, Be Good podcast, where we gonna talk about everything. You hear me? We gonna laugh, we gonna cry, and most of all, we gonna love on each other, y'all. Let's talk. What's up, everybody? Y'all already know what time it is. I hope you guys are excited like I am, okay, about tonight's podcast. So go ahead, go get your juice, go get your water, go get your wine, go get your Kool-Aid, because y'all already know what I'm about to say. We about to talk down tonight, y'all. Okay. Welcome to the Look Good, Feel Good, and Be Good podcast. I hope if nobody else told you today, I'm going to tell you that I love you. Okay. You are beautiful. You are blessed. I have to tell you that because this is the Look Good, Feel Good, Be Good podcast. And if you don't look good, you don't feel good. And if you don't feel good, then you can't be a good person. So I want to tell you on today, if nobody else told you, I want to tell you that you are a beautiful individual. And no matter what life brings you, I promise you will be able to overcome it. Okay. I hope you guys have already listened to part one, part two, and part three of the power of manifestation. Did y'all enjoy those three podcasts? Because I promise you, if they didn't touch you, they definitely blessed me. Okay. But we're gonna talk about something else tonight. I wanted to go ahead and talk about depression. And I'm naming this podcast, Am I Smiling or Frowning? Okay. Why? Why am I naming it that? Because we look at people and they could have this beautiful smile on their face. They could be walking around like everything is fine, but they are frowning on the inside. And we have to be careful what we say and what we do concerning people because you never know what type of day or what type of state that person is in. You never know where their head is at. So it's good for you to be kind, be nice. You know what I'm saying? Because you never know if they are really smiling, if that smile is a genuine one or not, or if they're smiling to hide the pain, you know? And I told y'all I don't never speak on anything that I myself have not went through. Okay. Um, I I've gone through depression and sometimes I still fight going through depression or going back into depression. It still creeps up on me sometimes. And I'm gonna tell you it's been hard for me to come out of depression. It was hard for me because, we see people, and I'm one of those people that I would smile, I would act like everything is okay because I didn't want nobody to ask me what was wrong. Some of us want somebody to ask, "Are you okay? What's wrong with you?" I am one of those ones who did not want people to ask me if I was okay. I didn't want you to even think that something was wrong with me because I didn't want you I really didn't want you to care, honestly. So, I was one of those people who would walk around with a smile on my face and everybody think that, "Oh, she's okay. T okay." Some people call me T. T is okay. I just saw her. She's smiling and laughing, but they didn't know that I was coming home crying late at night, in my pillowcase, crying. Um, I was not wanting to talk to anybody. I was shut completely down, shut my emotions down and everything because I was in a depressive state. And so that's why I'm calling this episode, Are You Smiling or Frowning? We really need to know. And I'm not one of those people that like to talk to other people. Okay. So if you know me and if we're close, then there were some red flags that you would know I had. Okay. There were some red flags that was out there that you would say, you know what, something is not right with her. And because we're so close, you would come and you would ask me, you know, let's talk. You need somebody in your corner that they can feel when your energy is off. You know what I'm saying? I have done this for years till I became a master of depression, mastering my emotions so you wouldn't know that I was going through something. And the only person that would actually see it in my grown state is my husband. When I was younger, nobody saw it because I didn't let people see it. Let me tell you, I was in a relationship so bad to the only way that I could express myself was by getting up in the middle of the night and being by myself, just going by myself, being in a corner by myself or in a closet by myself, because that was my only outlet. So I didn't have, at that point, I didn't have um, someone who would know that I was depressed. I was going through it by myself. I had suicidal thoughts. I even tried to take my life at one point because it had gotten so bad. And I know we hear people say all the time, that's so selfish. You know, you knew I was here and you could have talked to me, and you always have. Let me tell you something. Even though we know that we have somebody around us, or we know that our family members love us, at that point of time when you're in your depressive state, none of that matters. At that point of time, you feel like you're all alone and that you don't have anybody but yourself. And not only that, you don't want to burden anybody with your problems. And that was my thing with my husband. I didn't want to, I knew that he was already doing a lot for me and my family, or our family, and I just didn't want to be a burden. I felt like I if I came out to him and told him how I really felt, that I would be putting my burdens on him. But even though I was smiling, he could tell that it wasn't a real smile. He knew that there was something wrong with his wife. He knew that I wasn't in a happy state. And let me tell y'all, we as a black community, we hide our emotions very well. And I know this just not, up on the black community, but I'm talking to us right now because we hide our emotions. We hide if we're depressed, because if we say that we're depressed, people look at you differently. They look at you as if it's a problem to be depressed, or it's this huge disease, like you got the cooties or something, and they don't want to be around you. So we don't want anybody to think that we're crazy because we're in a depressive state. And so we hide our emotions, and we're good at it. Me, I'm really good at hiding my emotions, but I'm telling you, that stuff will get down in you and it will begin to fester. It will begin to grow. It will begin to eventually leak out in different areas where you're spazzing out on your kids, or you're spazzing out on your husband, or you just don't like who you see in the mirror every day. Depression, I'm telling you, it will take you out of here if you let it. You need an outlet. You need someone who you're able to talk to and trust. A lot of us get depressed because we don't trust anybody with our heavy stuff. Some of us are going through some heavy stuff, and we don't trust anybody with it. It's hard to trust people and it's hard to be vulnerable. But when you don't and you start hiding it, and it becomes this thing where you don't want to talk to anybody, you feel like you can deal with it on your own, you cannot. The enemy begins to speak to your mind. We think that isolation is good. Isolation is not good, because when you get isolated, I'm telling you, I've been through it. When you get isolated, you become the enemy's target. He likes that you're isolated because that's when he can talk to you in your ear. That's when he can start telling you things like you're not loved, or you're not beautiful, or you'll never be anything, or don't nobody love you, or you're a burden on these people. I'm telling you, your mind will start racing 1,000% when you become isolated. So when you feel yourself pulling away, find someone that you can talk to about whatever it is that's causing you to be depressed. I'm I've I've been going through depression before I even knew what depression was. I remember my dad told me one time, he said, "You're depressed." And I just kind of looked at him like, "How do you know I'm depressed?" Because I'm telling you, I will go over my mom and dad's house and I will smile. "Hey y'all." I'm laughing and I'm a jokey person, so I'm doing that. And he looked at me and he said, "You're depressed. I can tell." He said, you're sleeping all the time. You don't want to be bothered." He said, I can tell by your body language that you're depressed." He said, "Although you coming in here and you're smiling," he said, "I don't believe your smile." And I began to cry because my father knew me. Ain't that something when your father knows you? And I'm not talking about your earthly father. I'm talking about your spiritual one. Isn't it something when he knows his children, okay? So we try to get by, but he knows, and he knows what we need. So my dad is talking to me and he asking me what's going on, and I began to tell him and release to him why I felt so depressed and why I felt so, alone and not myself. And he began to pray and we began to talk about it and I felt better. But then I didn't do anything. Okay. Faith without works is dead. I didn't do anything to stop myself from getting back into that state. Okay. I didn't change anything. Know your triggers. I didn't change anything. So every once in a lifetime, here it comes again where I'm triggered and I'm going into this depressed state. The last time I went into a depressed state is when my dad died. I know you guys say, well, that's normal because, you're grieving or whatever. But let me tell you, when my dad died, I went to the funeral that Saturday. The next day, we had church on Sunday. I went to church. I was smiling, I was laughing, I was worshiping. I got home, I was smiling, I was laughing. I did this every day to hide my emotions of how I really felt about my dad dying. And then all of a sudden, well, it really wasn't all of a sudden, but it felt like all of a sudden. All of a sudden, I was in this dark, dark place and I could not get out of it. I didn't want to live anymore. I didn't want to be here. I felt alone. I was upset. I was angry. I was hurt because I didn't understand why he had to go, and it took me down under there. Now, I was in a dark place still smiling. I was in a dark place still giving advice to other people. I was in a dark place still encouraging other people. I was in a dark place telling somebody else to come out of a dark place. I was a functioning, I was functioning depressed. You know how you have those, those alcoholics and those, the people that uses, drugs and stuff like that. You know how you say, well, they're a functioning alcoholic, which means that they can function even while they're under the influence. I was a I was able to function in a depressive state. Don't get me, and I'm telling you, don't get me wrong. Y'all see people, the ones that are crying and saying that they're depressed. Those are not the ones. Don't get me wrong, because they need help too. But those are not the ones that you need to focus on. The ones that you need to focus on is the ones that are doing this, that is smiling, and then going home and blowing their brains out. Those are the ones that you need to say, hey, um let's go out because I feel something on you. You need to be able to discern whether or not your friends or family are in a depressive state and whether or not their smiles are really genuine, because you don't know. You have people in your family that do not talk about their issues because they don't want to burden the other families with whatever they got going on, and they're smiling in your face and they're going home taking pills, they're going home contemplating suicide. You don't understand what they're going through because you're looking at their smile thinking that they're really smiling when their smile is actually upside down. I smiled through my pain for years. Nobody knew that I had pills that I was taking trying to die. Nobody understood where I was coming from. And then when they found out that I was depressed, everybody was shocked because I was the one going around smiling. I was able to function under the influence of depression. We look at the drug addicts and the alcoholics and stuff like that. No, you need to be looking at the ones who are functioning under the influence of depression. We need help. Are you smiling or are you frowning? We need help. You need help. If you're watching this and you're going through depression, if you're watching this and you're one of those people who do not like to talk, you're one of those people who hides your emotions, you're one of those people who smiles and is able to function under the influence of depression, I'm telling you, go get some help. I'm telling you to go and find somebody that you trust. And I know it's hard, because nobody could tell me go and find somebody that you trust, because you know what I would say? I would say I don't trust nobody. I don't trust nobody with my issues. I don't trust anybody with what I'm going through. So no, I'm not going to go up here and I'm not going to talk to people because I don't trust people. You need to be able to discern when your children are smiling and they're actually functioning under the spirit of depression. A smile and a frown can look the same. I know you say, no, it can't. Yes, it can. I could be smiling and frowning on the inside. So my smile looks the same as a frown. You just don't know that I'm actually frowning. You just don't know that I'm actually hurting. You don't know that I'm actually contemplating when I go home that I'm not going to make it back the next day. You are looking at me, looking at the way that I dress, looking at the way that I do my hair, looking at the way that I'm putting on my makeup, and you don't know that I'm crying this makeup off every night. There was time when I'm in the shower, I'm in the tub, and I'm just boohooing, crying. And then when I come out of the bathroom, I look like a totally different person because I have dried my tears. I have sucked it up so my husband wouldn't know that I'm crying, that I'm losing it. I was functioning under the influence of depression. Walking around with my head held high, strutting and dying, hurting. Be careful. We are so mean. We are so angry. We don't care what we say to each other. Be careful because your words could set somebody off. You're looking at them and they're smiling, and you say something to them and they click. We're wondering why people just, oh, she just clicked. She just clicked and she just went off on everybody, or he just clicked and he just started shooting up the place. You don't know what these people or what somebody have said or what have happened in their life to get them to this moment. I'm telling you, I've been there, and sometimes I still slip back into operating under depression. And I have to catch myself. I have to remind myself that this is not the way that you're supposed to be functioning, because some of us have made depression a lifestyle. And nobody knows that. We need to be able to express ourselves. If you don't have anybody that you feel like you trust, then find a licensed therapist that you can go to, that don't know you, that you can go to and that you can just release. I've done it, and it felt so good. And I'm gonna start going back, but it felt so good to be able to sit there on somebody's couch and they listen to me, and I'm able to get out everything that I've been holding on to for years. I'm able to talk to somebody about. One thing that I love about my bishop and my first lady is that they always say, yeah, we need prayer, because people say, oh, you depressed, then let me pray for you. Lift your hands and let me pray and cast it out. Which is good. Prayer is good. Okay? But as they say, so is a couch. So don't just get prayer and don't go sit on somebody's couch. Because after you pray, you're going to need the couch. I'm telling you. Because it just doesn't go away like that. You need a therapist. You need someone who's able to talk you off the ledge. You need to be able to get everything out in the open to somebody that is licensed and to somebody that don't care about who you are, who doesn't know anything about you. Some of us, we don't like talking to people because they think that they already know us. So when you're saying, I'm depressed, no, you're not. You're not depressed. Some of us have given people chances. Some of us have put out red flags out there to let people know that I'm hurting. And because you think that you know me, or because you're so familiar with me and so common with me, you feel like you can say, no, you're not depressed. Stop telling people that they're not depressed. I understand the power of manifestation. Don't get me wrong. I tell myself every day, you're not depressed, because I don't want that to become who I am anymore. But what I'm saying is, if somebody comes to you and tell you that I'm hurting, I'm depressed, and you tell them, no, you're not hearing what they're saying. They're crying out for help, and they need you to be able to help them. Even if you say, well, you know what? I can't help you, but I know somebody who can. So that's what some of us need to do, because some of us are playing counselors, and we are ruining people. We are making them even worse than what they are. Stop playing counselors to people. Stop playing therapists to people, because you yourself are already going through things yourself, and you're trying to counsel somebody else. Stop playing therapists. Okay? Stop playing therapists. That's not your job. You're not licensed, and you're making people worse than what they already are by giving them your advice. You're messing with people's minds and people's lives. Send them to someone who can really help them. My therapist is a good therapist, and she helped me a lot. And it took everything in me to tell my husband, I'm not happy. Because I'm so used to just functioning depressed. But I knew I had to be better for my husband. I had to be better for my kids. I had to be better for me. So I needed to tell him, I'm hurting. I'm not happy. I need to go and sit on somebody's couch. I need to go to therapy. And he said, you know what? I'm standing behind you, babe, whatever you need me to do. It was hard for me to tell him that, because I always wanted him to look at me as the super wife. I didn't want my kids to see me down and depressed and sad, because I'm so used to them looking at me as super mom. So when I'm breaking down and I'm crying and my kids are seeing it, you know, your kids hurt when you hurt. So I tried to hide my feelings and my emotions from my children, because I didn't want them to see their mother in a depressive state. I wanted them to see me as they've been seeing me since they was born. But it's hard. And some of us are trying to do this on our own and by ourselves, and it's not working. I'm telling you, if you have a friend, if you have a family member that you feel like, if you feel it in your gut, if you feel it in your heart that something is off, trust your gut. I don't care if they look like $1,000,000 and they smell good and they're smiling. You don't know what they're going home to. You don't know what they're doing at nighttime. You don't know how they, at one time I was just numb. I didn't feel nothing. I was smiling. I was going to church. I was smiling. I was going to work. I was smiling. I was at home, but I felt nothing. And then you have people who don't understand, because they're looking at you as a mother. They're looking at you as a wife. They're looking at you as a friend, and some people need you. And you have to be okay with telling them, I'm not able to give me right now. I have nothing left. This is not the time that I'm able to give what you need. Let me send you to someone else that can help you. We got to stop playing therapist, y'all, especially when we're hurting ourselves. Black people, we have got to go and sit on somebody's couch. And I'm saying black people because when we hear therapists, when we hear I'm going to a therapist or I'm going to counseling, we automatically think crazy. You're not crazy because you have a therapist. You're probably crazy if you don't. I think everybody needs a therapist because everybody needs an outlet. And I'm not pushing anybody to go to therapy, but I'm telling you it works. And I'm telling you that you need it because it's easier. It was easy for me to talk to somebody that who didn't know me, who didn't know my family, who didn't know my background, who didn't know anything about me. It was easy for me to release how I had been feeling without feeling judged. We need an outlet. You need an outlet. Depression is rising, it's on a rise. People are taking their lives every single day. Somebody is committing suicide. Our children are going through depression. My daughter is one who suffers with depression. And sometimes I just ask her, "Are you okay? You good?" Because I need to know if she's good or not, because I can see, just like she does, just like I do, that she's smiling and is in pain. She's smiling and her mind is racing. We need to get our children in therapy because although I have an open door policy with my kids, they may not want to tell me everything. We need to be able to get our children in counseling so they won't have to go through what we're going through. So they won't learn how to function in a depressive state. Sometimes we teach our kids to function the way we're functioning, and that's not okay. We need to be able to discern when our friends are hurting, when our children is hurting, when our spouses are hurting. We need to be able to discern that. So when it comes up, it won't be shocking. When it comes up, they know, hey, I got your back. I just want to reach out to you to see if you was okay. Hey, you're not looking right today. I know you smiling, but are you really smiling? Are you really okay? We need to be able to discern it. We need to be able to make sure that I'm seeing a smile and it's a real one. We need to be able to come together and say, hey, I think you need to go to therapy. I think you need a therapist. We need to be able to do that. I know that we as a church, we just want to pray for people, but we also need to point them to in a direction of a counselor, of a therapist that's able to help them and keep them on the straight and narrow. Because life happens and it hits. And sometimes it hits to where it triggers you back into a depressive state. So that's why it needs to be a continuance when you're going to counseling and therapy until you are able to overcome those triggers, until you're able to overcome that spirit of depression. Don't be by yourself. Don't isolate yourself. Don't be afraid to pick up the phone and call somebody that you trust if you have somebody. Don't be afraid to be able to release whatever it is that you're going through. We need you. Somebody needs you. And I'm telling you this because I don't know who's watching this, but I'm telling you, we need you here on earth. We need you around. We love you. You are loved. You will be missed if you're gone. We think, "Hey, well, ain't nobody gonna miss me anyway." You will be missed if you're not here. I don't care what is going on through your head. I don't care what the enemy is trying to tell you. I'm telling you, we need your presence here on earth. You have work to do. There's a purpose for your life. And I know that it gets dark, and I know that it gets heavy. I know that sometimes you can't even, it feels like you can't get above the water, but I promise you, I know sometimes it feels like you're drowning, but I promise you, if you just make it to the next day, if you just pick up the phone and you call someone, I promise you, you are needed. We need you here on earth. Your voice is needed. Find a therapist. Find someone who's able to help you, who's able to help heal whatever it is that is broken. You're not alone. You're not by yourself. There's so much that's out there for you. There's so many people that's looking for you. You are loved. We love you. And before you pick up that bottle, before you pick up that gun, before you jump off that bridge, before you do anything, I want you to remember that you are loved and you will be missed. If nobody else have told you that, I'm telling you. Put the bottle down, put the gun down. Call somebody and let them know that you're hurting. Call somebody and let them know that you need help. Call somebody and let them know that you need a friend. I'm telling you, it works. And for everybody else, look at your family members closely. Look at your friends closely. Before you judge them, before you say anything, I'm telling you, some people will change drastically. Where you be like, "Ooh, she didn't used to do that." That's a red flag. She didn't used to dress like that. That's a red flag. She didn't used to talk like that. She's so angry now. That's a red flag. So instead of getting on your phone and gossiping about it, instead of getting on your phone and talking about it, instead of sticking your nose up at that person, instead of looking them up and down, instead of judging them, put your discernment ears on. Put your discernment eyes on. And start saying, "What's wrong? Is she okay? Is he okay? He's smiling, but I feel like there's something else." You never know what a phone call will do to someone when you call them just to say, "Hey, I love you, man." You never know what a phone call will do when you say, "Hey, let's go out to eat. I just thought about you." Or, "Hey, I just wanted to see your face to make sure you're okay." You don't know what it would do if you if you call somebody and say, "Hey, I need to pull up on you. Your text message didn't sound right. I need to lock eyes with you." Do more. We don't do enough. Do more. Go the extra mile. That's what we need. We have enough violence. We have enough stupidity out here in the earth. We have enough people judging. Do more. You never know who life you can save just by reaching out, just by giving them a hug, just by saying, I wanted to see your face, just by saying you're beautiful, just by saying you loved. You never know whose life you're saving. I want to tell you tonight that you are loved, that you're not alone, that you do not have to function being depressed, that there's a way out. All you have to do is speak up and open your mouth and find somebody that will listen. They're there. We are here for you. Listen, I hope that you guys have enjoyed tonight's podcast. I thank you for tuning in to the Look Good, Feel Good, and Be Good podcast. If you guys could do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe to this channel, I would gladly appreciate it. But I thank you guys. I thank you to all my listeners. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being consistent with me like I'm being consistent with you. I love you guys, and I hope you have a blessed Monday night.